Jasmine Gabriele Amini, and this is Earthly Food Creations. Have you guys ever been to the grocery stores and seen vegetable chips? You've probably found that a lot of them say that they're healthy. But have you guys ever been to the grocery store and seen that they're fried? Probably not. Most vegetable chips have shown no significant benefit in health. So they are actually fried while mine is not. What I do is I make unique seasonal blends into vegetables that are dehydrated to a crisp chip. The idea first came into light when I was making snacks that did not need to be dehydrated. When making these snacks, we found that people were asking, where can I get some? What are these? They look delicious. Can you teach me how to make them? So then I thought, okay, maybe I'm onto something. I began to test the assumption. I collected data, and in a poll of 102 respondents, 92% of people said that, in fact, they actually felt a need, they felt a pain, that they wanted to incorporate more vegetables into their diet, but there were two factors that were stopping them from doing so. The first being convenience, and the second being time preparation. So we validated the assumption that there was indeed a need for this in the marketplace. Here you'll find an article by ABC News that in fact shows that the market of vegetable chips right now actually show no significant health benefits. So who are we addressing? We are addressing the college-educated business professional who is health conscientious and leads a busy life between work and or family. So we tested our assumption that 102 respondents could not find the convenience and the preparation for having vegetables on the go. Moving forward, we decided to test even further with taste tests. We came out with products. We began with something that was chewy. While it was convenient for people to take this vegetable on the go, it was very inconvenient that the taste wasn't something that they would savor. So we found then that the problem was addressed. We have found a solution to the problem, but we haven't fixed that problem. Because now we need to further develop the taste into something that is delicious. Even health conscientious individuals want a savory snack that is healthy. So we moved forward with much research and development and further testing. And what we found was that it wasn't indeed something that would need to be sweetened with sugar or something that needed to be loaded with salt, but it was something that needed to go into a step of spices. So we dove into all the spices and started testing and pursued our research and development. So what we had found then was that on the contrary, people were missing that. They actually now were like, no, these are too subtle for me. I like them, but people weren't asking to buy them. So we made another pivot. We took a step back and we said, how can we do this? What do we need to do? We found spices that actually complemented each other so well that we could sneak in spices with health benefits. Turmeric, cumin, spices like these that provided significant health benefits. We changed the oils based on consumer research. So consumers then approached us and said, okay, this seems healthy. I want to know exactly what you're putting into here, but I also want to know, where are these ingredients? How can we track back to where they're being sourced? So we went from using olive oil, something that is supposed to be healthy, and we found through research that it's actually a very saturated market, and what you will find is that a lot of it is not very authentic. I did not feel comfortable promising a health benefit to customers when I couldn't promise that to them. So I made a pivot into other healthy oils. So here what we found was we added particular oils that were very healthy, particular spices that had extreme health benefits to the body, and we tested that into the market. Now what we found is that people were responding well to it. Not only did they buy it, but they wanted more, and they were asking for more of a product. So we moved forward, and I'm actually in the farmers markets right now. So we continued further testing, and based on what respondents were telling us, I actually had this crazy idea to come out with fruit and spices. So we began to test that. Over the past 2 to 3 weeks, they've sold out at the farmers market. And I'm continuing now to more of extend the reach into what we can do with bananas, with apples, with things like this, to where we can actually provide significant health benefit and a savory treat, because people do want that savory treat while they want that health benefit. So here are what some people said to validate. While validating, people have said, I usually don't like healthy chip snacks, but the seasonings you put on them were really great, and I could probably eat them with every meal. This struck me by surprise, because I started off with using this as a chip, but now people wanted to use this with every meal. So why not use these as toppers? A crispy crunch with more health benefits that people can include in their every meal. I've spoken so far to Whole Foods, to Title Boxing Club, and to Sleeping Moon Cafe in Winter Park. Sleeping Moon Cafe is actually wanting our product, and they've been persistent to ask for it, and they are waiting on me to actually start selling them. So compared to all of our large competitors, we actually provide something that is healthy. All of our large competitors, they actually provide poor ingredients, high salts, bad oils, and they are fried. So they're not so healthy veggie chips. So one other pivot that I actually made was about 8 months ago. This was my prototype with my partner. My partner and I decided to go in different directions. She realized she wanted to go in a different direction, and she actually gave me the okay to move forward with the company. So I went from doing marketing to being the complete CEO. So that was our first product. It was tomatoes and zucchinis. I've expanded and I've completely incorporated much more now that I'm validating and testing the market. So as you can see over here, you'll have the pineapple with spices. To the right, you'll have a dish of stir fry with crispy treats topped off with that. It's zucchini and squash. And then you'll find our practical zucchini and squash Kraft Cajun chips at the bottom. So actually moving forward with packaging was another struggle, and it was another realm to explore as far as experimentation goes, because now that we had fine-tuned the chips so well, and now that we had found it to such a crisp form, we didn't want to put them in regular bags, because now what you'll find is frustrated consumers that can't find a whole chip. So we tried 2 to 3 different types of packaging, and we found the closed container, and it seals freshness. And so what we provide is a healthy alternative, a healthy option in fresh vegetables. The distribution strategy is right now we are in farmers markets. We want to move forward into coffee shops and fitness centers as we get the funding to do so. Right now we're very limited by equipment and therefore funding, so we can't make promises to any coffee shop or fitness center or anything like that, because we won't be able to meet the demand, as we are only trying to meet the demand for farmers markets right now. As we are able to extend into farmers markets and to coffee shops, and fitness centers, we will further expand our reach into as many farmers markets as we can, and then eventually ultimately go into grocery stores. Okay. Sorry. Okay.
I thought you did a great job explaining your journey and the pivots that you made for the product. My question is, you mentioned speaking to Whole Foods and some of the other, so you have different types of people you could sell to, and customers as well as some of these bigger players. Have you made any ideas on how to actually sell this and introduce it to the market based on your conversations and experiments?
So my conversations with people like Whole Foods have been, to their surprise, that this isn't already on the market. We found some close competitors, I mean, not even competitors, but products that aren't chewy, but they're more of like soluble. The second you put it in your mouth, they dissolve. And that's for like camping needs and such like that. So I think that the best approach to take to this is the approach I'm taking, to expand into as locally as I can into Orlando, to build my brand into coffee shops, fitness centers. Our product is actually kosher. It's gluten-free. It fits so many different lifestyles. It's paleo-friendly. So my thing is, we need to reach as many people in the local area in Orlando, and then the rest will roll out by itself.
Okay. Okay, I was going to say, Justin, I was going to say phenomenal job on describing all the testing and fitting.
Thank you.
The one area I didn't hear a lot about
Yes.
testing is pricing.
Yes.
How much
Okay.
testing and
Yeah.
validating have you done?
I'll be
on the
glad to
actual
answer that.
price and cost?
Right. So because of packaging, I've actually experimented a lot with pricing, and I've had a lot of coaching because of that. So the typical dehydrated vegetable in Whole Foods is about 1.5 to 2 ounces, or 2 to 2.5 ounces. It's sold at about $5. So I said I need to cut that in half because the container I'm using right now is a little bit over an ounce. So I cut pricing in half. Right now I'm selling at $2. When I provide larger packaging, I'm going to compete on that price. So the larger I scale, to answer your question, to places like Lakeland, of course, the more price goes down and the more profitable and scalable this is. Another thing that we're doing is we're actually making our seasonings, I failed to mention, and we're doing that, and it's very scalable, and the scale of economies plays into there as well. And people like that we're actually able to track what we're putting in our vegetables and spices.
So do you actually test at all if people would pay a premium for
So,
having this?
yeah, for the, I'm sorry you guys don't have any with you, but the actually fruit savory ones are selling at more right now, and people are buying them. So I actually challenged customers, and I charged that at $3. And I mean, honestly, I can go for $4, and I really think it would still sell because people are going crazy for it. And I'm continuing to challenge pricing and see where I can go and how far I can go.
So I'm one of your typical customers. I've got here,
Oh, perfect.
These are freeze-dried apples.
Right.
And they taste good. I mean, they're crunchy. I didn't notice any difference. I'm really eager to see what you've got.
Yeah.
But
I'll run to my car and get you some after.
Great, wonderful. So one of the things that I want to go along the lines of what Robin asked,
Yeah.
which is about premium pricing.
Yes.
And the venues. We've chosen farmers markets. Usually farmers markets are cost-conscious places.
Right.
Where some of the other locations are premium price places.
Okay.
Are you better off trying to sell it at a premium price, raise your margins, and go after the other ones instead of going after the farmers markets?
So that is another thing that I have not been able to test as much just because I have not had the opportunity to get there. So premium pricing, would you consider this as a coffee shop?
Yeah, or a Whole Foods.
Or a Whole Foods, right? So of course it's way harder, the gate is way harder to get into a Whole Foods versus a coffee shop. So my goal is to ultimately get into the coffee shops as soon as possible so I can further test pricing and validate what customers are willing to pay. The product will just speak for itself. People will love it, or if they're not even buyers, they actually still will like it. And people that are more health conscientious of where their money is going because they don't have a lot of money, this product isn't for them.
I'm just really excited to see that we have girls this year.
is very common for women to find themselves having to choose between wearing a really pretty pair of heels or having a more comfortable time in less flattering flats. The answers are no different. Here at B-Steps we found a solution to this problem. Our company has combined all the desired elements of dance shoes into one hybrid flat street shoe that is comfortable, versatile, and fashionable, all in one high, true quality shoe. This is our team. Our team is composed by highly driven individuals and professionals alike who not only share a passion for dance, but also really want to make an impact in the market. And we count with the advice of a highly specialized board of advisors that have expertise in a variety of sectors that are critical to the success of our business, ranging from manufacturing to the actual design and so on and so forth. So, let me take you back to a year ago when Caroline and I started. We actually were just coming back from Salsa Social. Caroline has been a lyrical dancer for close to 7 years, and I've been a salsa dancer. I was wearing my heels. She would always wear her jazz shoes. At the end of the night, I could barely make it to the front door. Then one day, I had it, and I told her, listen, if they sold a cuter version of your shoes that I could actually wear with a dress and I look like the struggle, then I'll buy them. And we actually went online, looked up some flat jazz shoes to see if there's something girly that I could actually wear. There was nothing. All we found was her ugly jazz shoes. Just that's all we found. So at that point, we assumed, if I'm feeling this way, there's going to be another gazillion girls out there that are also feeling the same way. So at that point, we said, this is really cool. If we could actually make a dance shoe that is fashionable and it's comfortable and it's, it can actually serve the purpose of dance, then we could just sell it to dancers online and boom, we have a business. We're ready, set to go. Let's do this. But before then, we said, let's go talk to the dancers, see how many people actually feel the way we feel. And we went out there and we interviewed close to 50 dancers. We went to like 6 socials. We went to a lot of socials for a few weeks. And they all said, we would love to see an alternative to dance heels in the market. There's currently not one that's fashionable, and they're all, all friendly about it. We also found out from them that they would like to be able to wear these shoes to clubs, because currently a lot of the socials are held at clubs. So dance heels and jazz shoes are restricted to indoor studio floor. And we're like, well, we have to think about that. We went back, now that we knew what kind of questions to ask, and we actually did a survey online, low cost, rapid, but yet reliable results. And we found out that out of 67 respondents, 64 actually said, yes, I would consider an alternative to heels. I would buy a cute pair of flats over heels. And we're like, that's really surprising. But what really surprised us the most was that 49% of them said they could not dance more than 2 hours before their feet began to hurt. And that's kind of a big deal because socials are usually 3 to 4, so it means that you just missed out on 2 hours of dancing. The one thing that we did not test and we completely failed to validate was our idea that, hey, we're just going to sell them online and we're just going to do this. They said, nope, we don't like online. 80% of them actually buy their shoes at dance stores and studios because they want to feel them, they don't fit right, they want to make sure the fitting is right, and all that stuff. So then we went on to studios and said, okay, well, let's see what the deal is all about. We went and asked them, hey, how many units are you buying, from who, at what price, and how much are you selling these things for? And these are the differences that we got. It varies between the size of the studio and the location, but it's typically between 60 and 90 units a month. And they get a wholesale discount between 45 and 60%, and then they retail these shoes for $45 to $180, depending on the brand, quality, and all that stuff. They were all really excited about this idea. They said, girls, you really have something, and I would love to see a full prototype. So now that we have validated our idea, not only were we a business to customer, but we're also a business to business business type, because we had to get to our customers, we had to get to studios and dancers first. So at this point we said, all right, well, we already validated our value proposition, we're good to go, can we actually make this thing? And this is what came of it. We grabbed our sketch pads, and this is actually one of our first drawings over here, grabbed the sketch pads, and we went just full speed on designing this special outsole, which became known as the hourglass outsole because it thins right in the midsection. We figured if we made that thin enough for it to flex, then it would allow dancers to be able to flex and point their feet, stand on the ball of their feet, and it would still be fully functional. We could just add a few millimeters of foam for comfort and a leather outsole for pretty much the versatility that they wanted to see. Failed. We got these ugly things that nobody liked, that were completely dysfunctional, and everybody said, no, no, no. $200, and 4 weeks later, we were right where we started. And so we decided that we needed an expert. We needed expert help. So we went overseas. I don't know, it occurred to us that maybe going overseas, because there's not that many shoe manufacturers here in the United States. We went overseas, hired a Chinese company to prototype really beautiful designs, and people loved them. They really liked the designs. We actually ran a Facebook campaign. We got 31 conversions in 1 week, which is kind of crazy because this doesn't tell us that our product is validated. This just told us that people were crazy enough to pay for something that was flat and pretty, because our prototype was completely dysfunctional. So after completely validating that, we realized that, yes, the style was validated, but that's it. Nothing else was. So we were still where we started. We just had an idea. And we were able to validate our cost per unit at $8, including shipping, handling, fulfilling, everything. And we'll be able to sell these things at $80 and $40 wholesale. But then again, we had nothing. 2 months and $300 later. Oh, we're back to nothing.
Right. So round 3, we made an entirely custom outsole. It has patent pending design in the middle, allows 360-degree flex. It's indoor-outdoor, and it's ready for dancers, making all those mechanical components that dancers want in one shoe. There's a little up-close view of it. We designed a low-cost, rapid, but reliable way of both developing and testing the prototype from the manufacturer. Here's out pops the sole. It's already validated. It's flexible. Gave it to dancers. Gave it to dance studios. You know what they said? Hey, I love this, but you still have a little bit left to go with your shoe. Even though we have a little bit left to go with our shoe, we validated it in the market. We have multiple LOIs in Orlando, New York, and now we're talking with Tampa. What we did, though, for pricing, because our costs went way up when we customized the entire shoe, we did a PPC campaign, and we did it on 3 different pricings, $9.99, $120, and $140. The most conversions that came out 7 in 24 hours was $120. So now our new pricing is $120. Here are the results. Took us 1.5 days, $100 to Google. So we completely validated, for the most part, our value proposition. We just have a few more iterations, and that's why we're prototyping now in New York. We have a designer ready to go. She's done stuff for Payless, Target, etc. Customer relations. In order to have a good customer relations with a new brand coming about, we're really just going to have to what's the word? We're gonna have to give it 100% back guarantee. Channels added 2 more trade shows, word of mouth by industry experts to break through those customer segments. Key partners, we're gonna need those manufacturers to make the shoes. We're gonna need to get the shoes on and off the shelves with those dance studios, dance stores, and then we're gonna need celebs, famous dancers, affiliates, ambassadors to get those shoes off the shelves. Again, $20 a unit. Our price went up. Validated through LOIs and PPC campaigns and interviews as well. How big's the market? There's about 11 million dancers just in the United States. They order about 17 million units a year just in dance shoes, which equates to about $1 billion industry. $7 billion, though, in dance apparel, which is what we want B-Steps to be. Is this a social impact? Yeah, it is. Capizio, Revolution, So Dancer, they don't have 100% of what B-Step shoes have. And we're affecting a big, at least 3% of the entire U.S. population. Do we have in this?
That's where we'll stop.
No. Thanks. Sorry.
Just 2 things. You don't know that they won't pay $160, though. Is that right?
We don't know that they won't pay $160.
Yeah, we had, I think it was 7 clicks on the 140, but this one was the most with 13 clicks.
So you're assessing it based on clicks?
Yeah, based on clicks. And the way, if you looked at the way our page was set up, it was to start purchasing B-Steps, you had to enter your email. So we
not only clicks, but they enter their email to start shopping.
They had to enter the email to start shopping. So we only counted the goals as a success once the email had been entered and they clicked purchase B-Steps shoes.
Okay, help me with this. Detail the data that compelled you to make a change in design, resulting in round 3.
Yeah, so
That's actually while you're answering.
Yeah, definitely. So the shoes that we did before, I mean, this wasn't working. The leather was slippery. This probably has been used 10 times. Durability, 0. So those are the first two big things. Next big thing, girls didn't like this design.
And
which is really
thing
important.
was that there's actually no support, which is what made us bring on board a podiatrist to actually help us get our approval seal from the APMA. And now we're working towards that. They're going to work together, both the designer and the podiatrist are going to work together to get this shoe and make the adjustments that need to be made. We have to lower here, a little bit here, put a little bit more insulation in some parts, but that is something that can work all prior to prototyping. So once we do prototype those shoes, that's it. It's going to be that. We get those shoes, we launch our Kickstarter, we're done. Actually, no, we get started, we don't get done.
Yeah, so what will the prize money be devoted towards? Prototypes. We want one more iteration. Yeah.
I thought you guys did a great job with the conversations that you had with the dance studios and actually learning the number of units, the price points, and it's definitely talking to the podiatrist, doing these iterations. So I thought that's a good journey. Otherwise, it's fun.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
It's been a long journey.
It really has. And we have to be really careful to make sure that our surveys actually get to a different crowd and not just our close friends, because we're afraid that they're going to hurt, they may be afraid.
Right.
That's why we not only talked to them, but we actually did the survey online. And then we did the Google Awards, sponsored to different people. So.
Right.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, you guys.
And I know that from her that jazz shoes cost a lot of money. Right? So there's a price point that's already been set up there,
Right.
to your point. So my question is there more than one market segment that you can serve here? And is there an economic difference between those market segments? The more consumer, let's say, the amateur dancer going to the social versus the professional dancer?
Definitely. We've had, sorry to cut you off there.
No,
we've identified about 20 different customer segments. There's anywhere from huge competitions, conventions, girls that are very technically trained and very professional, and that'll spend $200 to $300 a day just to go to a convention and take classes all day. Then you have like Alian Ramirez, who is actually an endorsement person for us. She's a 15-time world champion. She wears heels when she performs, but she wears flats when she practices. So yes, this can go into other customer segments. And she said, yes, this is definitely an improvement from what I use from doing my flats.
Do you think that in this? Out of time. Sorry.
Okay.
Thank you.
Ramos, and I'm working on Grocery Grabbers, a web-based platform that allows users to go online and purchase groceries and have them delivered to their house in under 1 hour. See, I started off with this, and it wasn't always this clear to me. It started off as something just really sketchy, and I had an idea because I had this problem. The problem was grocery time, and it took way too long for me to fulfill my own shopping needs. And I thought, if I had this problem, somebody else out there has to have this problem. And I just assumed everybody has this problem because everybody shops. Everybody would wish that, oh, I had more time to do something else. And with that, I was completely wrong with that main assumption because not everybody wanted it. I did surveys out of 100 people and 30 interviews, and I found that 72% of those people spend between 3 days to a week in grocery stores a year, which is a ridiculous amount of time. So with this, I just ran. I thought, let me think of building an app that would allow people to order groceries and have them for pickup at the store by the time they get there. And I went into the Launchpad to get coaching on this, and I had all these assumptions. And as soon as I got there, they said, Eric, have you tested all these? That's really good. I'm like, wait, what do you mean testing? And they said, you need to test all these. So I was completely wrong on all of them. And I only ended up with just having a problem that people had, which time-consuming with groceries, and people who wanted it solved for them. So then they left me with 3 assumptions. Eric, you need to figure out, do you want to do a pickup service or a delivery service? Which do consumers value? The next was, do you want to build an app or do you want to build a cheaper MVP? Which is more valuable to your customers? And the third problem was my revenue streams were completely off. I wouldn't even break even in that process. So I went to testing test 1. Do they want pickup or delivery? I found out by doing research with my customers that they wanted a delivery service. Why? Pickup, they would have to get in their car, still go to the store, and grocery stores would have to pick the orders, which is they would have to either hire more people to do that process and incorporate it, which was too expensive for them at the time, but now they are incorporating it, so at the time it wasn't feasible. So I led to doing a pivot to delivery service. And through this, I found out that people were willing to pay more because of the value I was creating for them. And I also found out that I could raise more revenue doing this, so I charged higher prices for this. I still wasn't at the break-even point that I wanted because I was still losing profit from that. So then I switched to building a cheaper MVP. I really wanted to build an app at one point in my venture because I thought everybody's doing it, I got to do it. It's like a new fad. Everybody just wanted an app at the time. And by doing that, that really caused problems for my venture. It just completely messed everything up. I would either have to spend too much time learning how to program or pay somebody numerous amounts of money that I didn't have at the time. So it wasn't a lean process for me. What I decided to do was then pivot and build a cheaper MVP. I spoke with Craig Bowles of Clink Delivery, an alcohol delivery service, and I found out that he used this website that allowed him to do prototyping. It was called an InVision app. And through that, I was able to show users the testing process of how it would work. Through that, I gained beta testers and was able to keep those testers on a mailing list, so when we finally launched, we had people who were interested and wanted to stay with us. Through this, though, I still had 2 key things missing: key partners and my revenue streams. And I didn't know how to solve that. So I went back to Craig. I said, Craig, what's hot in the industry? Like, what do people like on mobile sites or websites? What do people like on websites that other people pay for? And he's like, advertising. And I said, advertising? I don't think it's advertising. Are you sure? He's like, yeah, trust me. So I went with the assumption it can't be advertising. But he insisted, try advertising and look into it, research it. So I did research on this test of revenue streams. And what I did was I pivoted towards advertising. And I found a local food company, Oh Dang Hummus. The founder's name is Jesse Wolf. And I had a conversation with him. He's actually right there in the back if you guys are interested. And I had a conversation with him. He said, I would extremely love the value of having my product advertised on your website, because companies in stores, they pay numerous amounts to have their product in shelf space in grocery stores. So if I can incorporate a shelf space version of that online, he would be willing to pay more for that. And that's what I'm currently working on now. So through that, I found out my revenue streams would grow immensely through advertising with other companies. And I completely validated a whole new customer segment that I didn't even know about, that companies were willing to pay for advertising for their product, and I could make more money that way. So right now, where I am, this is my current business model, and this is where I stand right now, and I'm still making assumptions on that. The next assumption I want to prove is coupons from manufacturers. And I've been talking with my clients, with my customers who want the delivery, and they said, I love going to Walmart because they have the match buy one get ones, and I love going to Publix because they have all these coupons. And they said, if you can provide that for me, I would love to join your company. I would love to order off your website. And I said, how can I do this? So I spoke with an industry expert, and he said that the reason why coupons would work are two reasons. One, there's exclusivity with that. That if I had a manufacturer's coupon, they could use it for any store for that product on my website. And no other company could do that doesn't have those coupons. So that makes me extremely valuable to my consumers, to my customers who ordered. And the next thing I want to do is sell information and data to outside marketing companies, the third-party people who want that information. And I also want to test grocery stores. I want to have grocery stores involved in this. Why? Because having their inventory information allows me to move a lot quicker and scale much faster in a process, is what I'm assuming. I haven't figured it out yet. And then one thing I definitely want to do that I value is giving back to other people who can't provide for themselves. And I want to partner with Feeding Children Everywhere. They're a nonprofit, and I've been speaking with David Green. He was the former COO. And we're in conversation of including that every time somebody orders delivery from my website, we feed a child who can't provide for themselves. So right now, I learned 3 lessons from, 2 minutes? All right. I learned 3 lessons from this process. 1, your users are not always equal to your customers. And I found out that, I thought I would be making most of my money from people who wanted the delivery. Where I would be making more money was companies who were willing to pay for the advertising shelf space online. My second lesson I learned was no question or assumption is too ridiculous in this process. You have to be willing to throw out a random answer or a random assumption and just learn from that. Because it's not about having a right or wrong answer. It's about learning what your customers feel, having empathy for them, and trying to put yourself in their shoes. I was put in their shoes when I said, I have a problem with this. So by just making random assumptions, I got to this place right now. And my third lesson that I learned was never accept limitation. I had people telling me when I first started, I don't think it's feasible. There's a lot of crashes that have happened with grocery delivery, and what makes you different? Like, why can you be different? And with technology now, I'm able to create a process where people can order and have it delivered to them. And that's pretty much it. Thanks.
I have a question. You pivoted towards an advertising model, and my question is around the testing that you've done on the actual fulfillment side of it. How is this going to get fulfilled? Because as you alluded to, the grocery stores are going to increase their costs by fulfilling it. So have you done any tests around that? So
let me just reframe your question, because it was a great question. So how are grocery stores going to be involved? Or
how is this going to get fulfilled and actually be delivered?
Okay, all right, great.
And how have you validated that?
Great question. Okay, so the way I've been testing is that I used a really minimal viable product with a website, and people can submit their orders. I get a notification to my phone when they submit that order, and I go and I run that delivery, and I take it back to them, and they pay for it then. Now, what I'm trying to create is like an online platform where people can purchase the product through there and already have the money. So once I get to the store, I can pay for it, and everything's good. I just deliver it, and it's fine.
You're envisioning that your staff is going to be the ones going to
yes.
the stores and fulfilling
so,
and bringing it back.
Yes, great question. So it's like right now it would just be me, but then eventually adding people on, and then eventually eliminating people from me and contracting other grocery shoppers under me.
How will your customer acquisition money be spent?
Okay, so for the MVP, or so in total? Okay, so I didn't spend any money developing an app. I'm a graphic designer. I have a graphic designer background. So I created it through Envision app, and that was completely free. It didn't work out that way. So then I spent money building not a mobile website. I spent money building a website, and it cost $7 for the domain name, $12 for the yearly, and that would be recurring, so $12 yearly, and then no cost after that for validating this with customers. I just went up and talked to them about it.
The cost of acquiring a customer, like reaching the actual customer.
So reaching them?
And inform the customer.
So I created, all right, sorry. Through creating the mailing list, I already have customers who are interested. So now I have this database of customers. So once I launch, I send it out to those customers, and they're willing to pay for it already. So I validated that through the prototyping process.
And how about growing your advertising customers?
Growing advertising. So as the customer base grows, the advertising will grow with it. I have to gain more customers who are interested in the product, and then more companies will want to advertise through me because they see, oh, he's got value, he's got more customers. Let's go into this route of advertising.
So I think I'm going to go back to George's question.
Yes.
Because in order for an advertising model to work, you need tons of people on there. And your database, I don't know how large it is, but you're going to need to figure out a scalable way to continually bring more people on. Yeah. So I don't think we heard about how you're going to reach these people.
Do you want a plan of how I plan on growing, or?
I would just think through that and test it to see like awareness initiatives that you can actually gain users, because as you said, your users are not your customers, but your customers need your users to have value.
Okay, thank you. 1 minute. Any questions over here?
Yeah, I've got a question. Yeah. Can you tell me a bit about your fulfillment model and what you charge?
So our charging. So we offer a 1 hour delivery for $8. And a $6 delivery if you schedule it later in the day. The reason for the $8 charge is because it's a convenience fee. You want it right away.
So
and
it's a flat delivery fee,
so
whether it's $50 worth of groceries or $500.
Correct. So it's a flat delivery fee. Plus, we're adding a yearly subscription plan. So once people like our process of how we function, it would be $250 for a yearly because they plan on being reoccurring customers.
And some things are Publix and other things are Trader Joe's or cheaper.
Yeah, and that's the process of getting connected with those grocery stores and having their inventory on my website and things like that.
Okay.
Great question. Thank you.
So can you elaborate a little bit about the shopper that's already shopping and how you would leverage a shopper that's already shopping? Because it sounded a little bit like a Lyft or a...
Yeah.
Fortunately,
I'll see you after, and I'll talk to you about that. I'd love to talk to you about that.
Brandon Nades, President and co-founder of Talent Simulations. We seek to provide affordable and immersive training devices for the masses by playing an integral part in the next generation of simulation. It all began with our senior design project in mechanical engineering here at UCF. This was our original design that we came into the semester with, but we learned a lot about the technical feasibility of 360-degree motion. So our final product was this 2-degree of freedom motion platform. We integrated the Oculus Rift head-mounted display. We received such great feedback from the university back in April 2014 that we wanted to test the demand for a commercial product. So we began our set of interviews and to really determine what the value propositions are of the device that we manufactured. So our initial assumptions were that the small flight schools in the area could really use a different alternative to the big bulky simulators that are on the market, and then we could reduce the cost by integrating virtual reality. And then we could sell or lease the systems. So we went and continued our interviews. We had 15 more, and we started learning a little bit more about the industry, who our potential customers could be, as well as key resources to utilize. We understood that the general aviation industry would be our target market to initially begin gaining traction. and it would be good to grow and before we hit other markets. So we got more familiar with the industry and started understanding that the cost of pilot certification is way too high, and the demand for pilots is increasing annually as the population of pilots decreases. So we really saw that there's value in providing an affordable alternative. As we conducted the interviews, we were gathered to look in other industries as well. So we started doing interviews in gaming, UAVs, autonomous vehicles, and ground transportation. So we started testing those markets and wanted to see if there is any value that we can provide for those as well. So we started doing estimates as well as to what it's going to cost to make one of these and what we could sell, and $10K was the original price point. We attended the National Business Aviation Association trade show at the Orange County Convention Center, where we talked with direct competitors as well as big customers in the industry such as Embry-Riddle, and we're determining price points and things like that. Then we attended the International Association of Amusement Parks and Attractions, also at the Convention Center. We got familiar with the entertainment industry. We talked with other simulator companies as well, and to once again determine price points and channels and relationships. Then we had the opportunity to demo at ITSEC, which is the world's largest training simulation trade show, also at the Convention Center, all here in Orlando. Our business mentor got us a free 10x10 booth to exhibit at. So up to this point, we spend zero money, and we've had several interviews. And this is a 4-day event that we had a bunch of end users utilize the device to determine the technical aspects of it as well. So through these couple months and these trade shows, we determined there's another value proposition, and that's the STEM initiative to really generate interest among younger generations, as well as the low-cost and portable systems are in high demand like we originally assumed, and that our $10K price point that we assumed was just way too low, and $25 would end up being too high, so we need to be somewhere in between. And current simulators, they get charged $30 to $79 an hour at flight schools currently. So we began getting good feedback from those other customer segments, as well as validating those initial value propositions and looking at the different revenue streams that we could pursue. Then in January, we got to demo at Otronicon, which our mentor also got us free space there as well. We ran into different issues with our partner with the motion platform company, so we ended up having to front some of our money. So we put out about $3,000 for manufacturing. But we were able to get some metrics on the users this time, which we unfortunately didn't do at ITSEC. So we had about 464 users, 38 pilots, and 60 hours of operating time. So we really got some good metrics. And then our costs went down once we joined the I-Corps program, which began January 30th. So the $3,000 we spent, we knew we were getting. So the investment wasn't as crucial to us. But we got very familiar with the price of the cost of goods sold at that point, since we built a couple units, about $6,500, and the price point of $15,000 would be really beneficial to begin with. So at this point, right after that, we began the I-Corps program and really started getting familiar more with the canvas and cutting it down and at least integrating parts together. And then we started having to put a few more dollars into it, to the prototype, to keep it functional for the demand of demos we've been getting recently. But we've validated a lot, and we feel really comfortable in investing that money. So at this point, we put about $1,000 of our own money into it. But we were able to really identify our value propositions and our customers, and we began finding a really good product market fit. And we've developed a good idea of our cost structure. We attended a conference in the amusement industry. We got to talk to top-level executives at Disney, Universal, and Six Flags, and really get an idea of what value this could create. We saw that big ride manufacturers wouldn't want something to demo. We thought that would be a good idea to help solidify contracts, but there's only a handful of them, and they didn't see any value. But they did validate that family entertainment centers and arcades could really utilize this. They're kind of not on the cutting edge of technology, so there is a high demand on creating interest into their current ideas. We demoed at the Orlando Tech Meetup last night, where we got some really good feedback from people all over different industries here in Orlando. NASA reached out to us related to their SBIRs, same with NavAir, PTS Aviation, so we're really validating a lot of different areas. But now with I-Corps, we're really focusing on the two main customer segments, being flight schools and the wealthier subset of the public. So we don't want to invalidate the other ones, but we want to be able to focus our canvas on just those while we're launching. since we do want a repeatable, scalable business model, that's kind of the point of the canvas, we want to at least keep those in our minds while we continue to grow. So we saw a big pain. We really need to help out the aviation industry, get people back in there again, because there's just a really low return on investment for pursuing a professional pilot career. So that's the biggest pain we want to overcome. Our target financial impact just here in Orlando with the general aviation and amusement industry could be up to $35 million. And at this point, we've considered all the users that we've had demo the device as interviews. They're really short, but we've been able to see their people's dilate when they get off, and we got great feedback from each of them. So we want to be able to consider that. We've got people saying it's the best simulator at the trade show, with an international trade show. We found out the $15K price point would be efficient, and charging $50 per hour per use would be perfect. So we got partners now with servers and simulation for our motion platform. We're in a business incubator with Skyline Attraction and our business mentors and Seed Business Solutions. Our potential customers are flight schools and a military academy, as well as a technical institute too. And now we're working on getting out there with Lockheed, Disney. We already have meetings set up to discuss our technology with them, because they're also beginning to pursue these as well. We also demoed to the Department of Transportation, and the DoD has reached out to us for a mentor prodigy program. So there's a lot of different resources, and especially here in Central Florida, we can pursue these opportunities, and we're really grateful for everything that's come our way so far.
My pedal watch just started buzzing.
Yeah.
Okay, so Brandon, I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm a huge fan of trade shows for startup companies, because you can go to a trade show and all of your potential customers are there coming to you, right? So you go to one place.
Exactly.
And Orlando is one of the hubs, right, for trade shows. So any industry you're in, you can find a trade show going on in Orlando to do this. My question, which wasn't necessarily clear from your presentation, just step me through like Otronicon. What assumptions were you validating? What were you testing? What hypothesis were you testing at Otronicon? It wasn't just that they had a great experience, right? What were the specific hypotheses?
Well, okay, the different assumptions were different for ITSEC and Otronicon. For Otronicon specifically, it was really trying to see if this could be more of a STEM initiative than a training device. So ITSEC, it was like, is this going to be effective for training? Are they going to utilize it? And then Otronicon, we wanted to see if entertainment centers would use it as an arcade, if they want to bring it around to technical institutes, high schools and middle schools, and if this will draw attention to those careers and educations.
Okay, so it was a market segment.
Market segment, as well as a technical efficiency assumption as well that we were testing, see if it can go through the use that people were going through.
Okay.
What market segment validations did you make, and what did you eliminate?
Well, we've been trying to validate, I think at this point we validate general aviation. It looks like we're about to validate the high-end gaming market as well, because we have people reaching out to us that want it, and that could be our first customers also. But every time, like I said, we've been going around, people are like, oh, it could be used for this, it could be used for this. Even last night at the tech meetup, we got a couple more people giving us different ideas that we never thought of. And the possibilities are endless with the simulation. You just got to change out the software and do the coding. So we have a lot of validation to do with the other markets, such as UAVs, autonomous vehicles, now zero gravity and space tourism, as well as Carnival cruise ships, and boating. So, I mean, these are all opportunities we got to validate a little more.
You developed this as part of a class with a group of individuals?
Correct.
Have you done a lot of product pivots? It seems like when you went, people said great things,
Mm-hmm.
but have you iterated the product throughout the whole process?
Right. Okay. So we made a second prototype, which was similar to the first one, and the features of it are basically the same, besides a few technical aspects of it. So it really is the same thing that we developed in senior design, just a little bit more reliable and efficient.
And was that based on customer feedback, or was it more or less just you knowing you needed to make it more?
Correct. Customer feedback and being lean. So we know some features that other people want us to integrate, such as the adjustability aspect of it, but we knew for our purposes to validate the value of it, we didn't need to spend time and engineering money to make it adjustable and things like that. So those are features we need to test with the next prototype that we make. Anything else, George? You tired of listening to me today yet?
I think when the contestants are calling on the judges.